Okay, Shalom Aleichem. Welcome everybody to Tuesdays with Torah. It's a pleasure. It's really amazing to have everybody here.
Pleasure to be here.
Mitzvah Shem, we should have another amazing year of learning together.
Amen.
And I couldn't do it without all of you and everybody out there in Torah anytime. So it's very special. This week, not Anonymous was usurped, and I felt bad for Anonymous because he's always the. We had a special sponsor by Eli Braun in honor of all those who love learning Torah. That's good, and Torah. That's what our topics tonight on, keeping the flame of Shavuos alive, and by David Mattel for Refuah Shlema for Moshe Ben Rus. Amen. And may I add for all the other Chaylim in Klal Yisrael that need refuahs, all the people that want to stay healthy should stay healthy. Amen. And it's a lot of, we have a lot of Chaylim. We have to keep it in mind, Rabbi Say. It makes a big difference when we daven for other people. So we had an amazing Shavuos, Baruch Hashem. Thank you everybody for participating. I had a special chavrusa this year. Ari came. We learned together for hours, and he came. And you see how well we learned is that he came tonight to continue, like to hear and talk about how we could take. Yes, you were there also. You were there also, right? But anyway, it was really nice. It was really nice. And so the question is, how do we take that flame that the flam fire that we felt on Shavuos, and bring it throughout the year? You know, it's already wearing off big time. So let's how do we do it? So first of all, interesting. I heard a nice word from Rav Usher Sinclair. He says that contrasts the difference between Shavuos and the rest of the year. So he says, we say Shema 2 times a day. The interesting thing is, why do we say, "Hear, O Israel"? Hear. We should say, "See, O Israel." As a matter of fact, when we were standing at the foot of the mountain or on the mountain, we didn't hear. Royim es hakolos. It's even stranger, the terminology that we saw the kolos. So he says the difference is what? First of all, what's the difference between sight and sound? Sight is instantaneous, right? Sight, they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. However, words or hearing, you have to first process that whatever you said words. So first, what your brain does, we don't realize it; it's subconscious. We have to connect all the vowels and syllables to create a word. When we create that word, we have to put it together in a sentence to create an idea. When we create the idea, when we have an idea in our head, then we have to process that idea. We have to see if it's something we agree with, if something that's our minds feel like. If I'm going to be saying monkeys are falling from the trees, you're going to soon lose interest because you're not talking samzach. So part of the process is, first of all, should I listen? Second of all, okay, what is he saying? Is that accurate, right? If whatever. If I say, that's whatever I say, it's got to be accurate, and then we process if and when we should say a response and what it means to us in our lives. So a lot is going on. It takes a lot of time. So that's the difference between listening to and hearing and words and sight. Sight, you see a picture, right? And as a matter of fact, people who have trouble understanding, they use the sight. They have word processing, right? So you use pictures, visual assistants, visual aids, and you see, we all use it, right? The Gemara, even before Archel came around, Rashi has pictures in his Rashi, so we could see. Now I get it. So it's much easier when we see things and don't. So he says as follows. He says the pshat is a different pshat. He says that by Har Sinai, last week, we had a special revelation of Har Sinai. The Medrash says the skies opened up and we actually saw God. We saw Hashem. We saw everything. It was But that was a one-time thing that we needed, all Yidden, that our grandparents needed to have, to pass down to us. Now, what's our avodah? Our avodah is not to be spoon-fed, not to see it. Yes, we do get a little bit of that revelation on our own Shavuos, but our idea is to shema, to listen, to actually listen to things that happen. To shema, we want to put things together. We want to process it. And if we think about it, we don't just move on in life, and we think and we process, hey, how did that happen? How did this happen? Where am I now? What is just everything happened by chance, and we start to process, and when we process, it's guaranteed that we're going to come to the revelation of Hashem is the only one, because we're using our mind and we're doing the work that needs to be done. So that's Shema. So for us, for a Yid, for a Torah Yid, hearing is believing. That's our avodah, to actually hear, and like they say in Yiddish, you don't just hear it. Daher is more. You understand. You know Yiddish, right? No, you're far away. Forget it. But no, he's Chassidish at heart, so I'm sure you learned it. But that's the idea. The hearing is to really take and process what we see and what we feel and what it's all about, and that's what really Torah is all about. And that's why we have these things to process, and that's our avodah. It's constantly to think about things, not just go on life and chill. And we take away all the outside stimuli and start to actually think about things, not too much, because then you overthink, and then right, that's dangerous also. It's got to be in a healthy way. But when we start to realize, we start to process, and we start to see and hear and feel, we come to the Hakara, we're feeling Hashem, we feel Him in our lives. So I went this week to an amazing event, amazing sports event in the Wells Fargo. And any of you guys went? Right, Adire.
Ari was on stage, huh?
I went to Adire, and it was an amazing program. So first of all, it's interesting that observation is that there was so many people there that the ushers, the people working to get them in, they were like expecting the sports crowd, the sports people to come in, and they were acting like that. They were screaming, "Everybody get out your wallets, put your phone, put it on the thing." And I wanted to go over to them and said, these guys, these are B'nai Torah. These are not the same guys that came yesterday, they're screaming at them, what are you screaming at? They're orderly guys with a hat and jacket, and they're coming in. It was funny. It was very funny. So okay, there's a big difference here. There's a disconnect. Guys, there's a disconnect here. Let me explain you who these guys. And I said, forget it. It's not going to work. So then when we came in, it was just so beautiful to have so many people together, want to be Machazik Torah, and there was there was a few Gedolei Hadar came. Rabbi Israel Orbach, right? Who's his father? What? Right, his son, his oldest son. He was there. He was a very old man, and he flew in from Eretz Yisrael. And when he spoke very short time. He said that I came here because I wanted to give chizik. He said, this is a good Aldar. Now maybe you're going to say, I don't know. He says, but I was machazik so much. He says, I see the B'nai Torah, I see Balabatim learning the whole, it was all about Balabatim that want to learn more and become B'nai Torah. And he said, it's just, I was mechuzik, so I got to take that he's not lying. I don't think he's lying. And then we had, it was just beautiful, the singing. Basically, what it was a Litvish tish. Very interesting. Never had that. We were always, exactly. Us guys, growing up, we were always, I don't know about you, I was always missing that, right? I missed the varmkeit of a tish. What did they do? By us, if you were going to a tish, what did your Rosh Yeshiva say? Go to learn. What are you going? Go sit down and learn. You're wasting time, But what I had to tell my Rebbe, what I would have told my Rebbe is that's good for the last generation. You're right. But I'm at a different generation. I need the singing. I need the chizuk. And my Raya, I was talking to my Chavrusa, who's the biggest yeshiva man. He's the Rabbi Birnbaum, Rabbi Meyer Birnbaum, who's the son of Shmuel Birnbaum. And I told him, I said that, the Raya that this is so important, and you're supposed to close your Gemara, to go be mechazik about learning more Gemara, even if you're, is because we have the idea of a siyum. Right? What is a siyum? A siyum, you go, even if you're learning, you close your Gemara, you go to siyum, you party, you have big meals. I have a sandwich and go back to learn. People, we don't work that. It doesn't work that way. We need that chizik. We need that celebration. In order to go further, we need that celebration. We need to have that feeling to go further. And that's really what it was. We had everybody coming. That's part of it. We come together. We learn. We're not just saying over learning a sefer. Whatever I'm saying, you can open up Svarim. You can see the same things, if not better. But what do we do over here? We come together. We learn together. It's all of us. We're mechazik each other. That's things that we just need. This is our life and blood. But anyway, it was just amazing how we had singing and 35,000, I think, people all in the audience holding hands, jumping and singing and dancing together with Torah. It was just very, very beautiful. So one of the somebody told me, it was the first time I was there, but somebody told me that in previous years they had more speakers, and now they toned it down. They learned that, just you have a few speakers, but sing and join and join. So anyway, Rabbi Ehrenreich spoke. He spoke so beautiful. I want to tell you over what he said, and then tell you just this two stories that I said, then end with that. But Rabbi Ehrenreich said as follows. He said that that many years ago, Reb David Soloveitchik, who still has a yeshiva, one of the briskas is Reb David. He's an old, very old man. He was in Eretz Yisrael at the time. How old is he now, David?
He was nifter, no?
What?
He was nifter, no?
Oh, he what? The one that had the yeshiva was okay. But in my time, he was just recently. He was.
I have to tell you, I saw the speech on YouTube, and I know what you're going to say, but it's all right. Whatever. Go ahead.
It's not the same Reb David.
No, it was Reb David.
Okay. Anyway.
And also
the Lutzka.
Right?
Yeah, that's what he said. So Reb David said that he remembers clearly the Lutzka Rav. He what happened was it was Eretz Yisrael. It was 1943 or 42 or 43. 43. Rommel was very close to Israel. He was in the desert, and he was north Africa, and he was advancing the German troops, the SS troops, to create a Holocaust in Eretz Yisrael.
Urban Ward Rommel, the field marshal, was the only German who went against Hitler and did not confiscate any Jews.
That's what happened. That's what happened. But her eye was on Israel. Anyway, he was called the Desert Fox, and he was coming to do real genocide on Israel. Anyway, he's coming in, and Rav Lutzka gathered all the Jews in a small base medrash or big base medrash in Meir Sharm, and he turned around and he did something very brazen. He went to the parochis, he ripped the parochis, and he said, "Rabbanu Shalom, you promised in your Torah." He says, "Lo yime'astem v'lo yigaltem l'chaloisam." It's in B'chukoisei. You promised in your Torah that even if you bring on all the klalos, you would never get miyas from us. You're not like that. You're destroying us, and you would never destroy us totally. And now look what's happened. You finished Eretz Yisrael. You finished Eastern Europe. There's nobody left. There's very little people left. And now you're coming after the Torah Jews. And he said as follows. He said that. What does that mean that you're not gonna? He says, what does it mean you're not going to reject this? He says, a guy and a man and wife get divorced. He says, usually what happens is the closer you are, the more hate there is. And because of the hatred, the man will take away all the gifts that he gave, and vice versa. They would take away all the gifts that they gave each other. But Hashem, you're not like that. That's the pasuk is saying. The Medrash says that Hashem says, I'm not like that. I'm never going to be, I might have to separate, punish you, and kick you out of the land, but I'm never going to have that hatred, and I'm never going to destroy you by taking everything. So he says the question is, the Chizkuni asks, what are you talking? He does take gifts back. He took the Beis HaMikdash, that's not a gift. He destroyed it, he took it back. What are you talking about? He took back gifts. And he took back the karbanis, that's not a gift, that we can take a carbon and we can be mechaper and all these averis. We're learning Shavuos now how a lot of things that you do make mistakes, you even do on purpose, you lie on purpose, you bring a carbon. So he took back, so he answered as follows. He says, yeah, those things you could take back, but he's never going to take back the thing that is our lifeblood by. And what is that? That's a Torah. That's why he says, that's why I ripped the price to show that this is what you would do if you let them come in. He says, Rabbanu Shalom, you promised never to do this. And we, in Eretz Yisrael, we promise to upkeep this Torah. And because of that, he says, your promise, our promise should go with your promise, and you should keep us alive and well. And we all know the rest of the story. There's a lot of stories. He turned it around. There's a whole history about how Hashem did Nisim, where first there was a sandstorm, and then there was the Bekitzer by the time. And then there was espionage, allegations of treachery on Rome. And the whole thing that happened was, he turned around and they never came into Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael was left alone to grow, to thrive. They were the Sheres HaPleitza of the war until they lost the war. So that was because the Yidden realized that the oxygen was the Yid. And there's a Gemara, the Chagiyah, he says, that says that in the inner house, whenever Hashem brings, a lot of stuff is going on in this world. We have the whole world hating on us now, right? And there's this, riots and whatever's going on. Who says this is exactly what can happen to the Yidden? And it did happen all through the generations. But he says, the Gemara says that in your inner house, we're protected, we're safe. What is the inner house? The inner chamber of Hashem is the house of Torah, the house of the Beis Medrash. The Torah is Megan, the Torah protects us. So that was like just being there together with all that he's saying, this is what you're doing might be hard and difficult. We think we could go out, we could make more money, but you don't realize that by deciding that I want to be in the house of learning Torah and supporting for the other people, that there's the Lakewood, all the young of Lakewood sat on the floor of the auditorium, and then all the Bnei Torah, the Balabatim were all around. I was up around. I didn't to sit on the floor. My brother was there, and afterwards, when they were singing and dancing, I made my way down and danced with them. And it was just showing the Kavod Torah of these guys that really, they're very smart guys. Many of them can do very well in business, and they could be making a lot of money. Al pi derech hateva, of course, they could be making this way as well, by a lottery. But the sign of trust in the Rabbanu Shalom is for them, and they're doing it on a daily basis. So that was just very nice that we gave cover to the Torah, and we also felt that everybody else, and I wanted to share that with everybody, is that went away, giving a let's take this Torah and let's make it more serious, make it part of our life. Not just, I'm going to do the daf, but let's live the daf. And I want to tell you how many over the years, he's known me, I have so many stories, because when you take the daf, we do the daf seriously. You do the daf? Okay, you could start.
Not yet.
Not yet, huh? See, I love the answer. I love that answer. Not yet. Everybody say, if you say that answer, you're in a very, very high madrega. Because right now, no, but not yet. I'm going to get there. So anyway, the whoever learns a daf, but I see it so clearly all the time, on a daily or a weekly basis, there's always something that happens that it's exactly has to do with that daf. And the stories that happen is just amazing. So I want to share with you two stories if I have time. One story was that I saw from Rabbi Meyer Bodner this week. He says that he had, there was a Magid Shiur of the Daf Yomi. It's not really something that's in the Daf. Usually there's something that's in the Daf. Like, I don't remember the story of the Torahs, Chaim remembers, the Torahs burning in Florida. So, I don't know if you remember it. There was terrorists burning in Florida. Goyim saved the terrorists. There was a few years ago. That Gemara was talking about Me'ila. When are you allowed to be Mechal Shabbos, saving Torah or not? That day's Gemara, the day the story happened, and I'm telling you, craziest. This is just on Yom Kippur last year. The Gemara was talking about Tumah and Tyra. I learned it right after Yom Kippur, not this past one, the one before. The Gemara was talking about Tumah and Tyra. All of a sudden, the Gemara digresses. It wasn't really digressing. We were talking about Sha'arim of Tehumah, and the Gemara says every single Sha'ar is closed except for the Sha'ar of the Miyah of tears. That was on random put into a Gemara on the day of Yom Kippur that we cried to Hashem for everything. It was just these always things. Anyway, getting back to the story. The story was there was a fellow who was loved giving a daf, and he was just a few weeks ago when we started Shavuos. He had to be away for a simcha, that Shabbos, so he asked a friend who was a Ben Torah, can you take over? He really was upset because he wanted to be there. It was the first day of the Gemara of Shavuos, so he wanted to be like the start, but he had no choice, so he asked his friend to do it, and he said sure. His friend prepared, and then on Sunday he met him in shul. He says, "Oh, Yankel, how'd it go? How'd the daf go?" A lot of people showed up. He had this fellow. He had like 30 people in his daf. He had a big daf. So he said, "I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe I met you. You have no idea how embarrassed I am. I prepared the whole daf. I got it good, and I totally forgot about it. Not that I overslept. I just forgot about it. And Shabbos afternoon, I knew something. I had to do something, and I totally forgot about it. And it was too late. By the time I realized, Mitzvah Shabbos, I realized, oh, I missed." So he says, "What should I do? I'm sorry." So then the Rebbe was thinking, "What?" But nobody called me up told me that I stood them up. So he calls up one of his usuals, and he said, "What happened with the shiur? Nobody told me that I was missing." He says, "Yeah, we'll tell you the story. That we were waiting 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and they said, you're usually not late. We started learning, but it's hard stuff. It's very hard Gemara." And then somebody walked in, Beryl Schombrun, and I'm giving a name, and they said, and he happened to have been, he was a first grade Rebbe, and they said, the Rebbe Sheindu. Rebbe is he's a Rebbe. The Rebbe's here, and it was a joke because he's a first grade Rebbe, So he says, but he took it seriously. He goes, "What daf are you learning?" So they said, "We're learning the first daf beis of Shavuos." So he was at the door. He started saying over the first Mishnah, Shavuos, I can't even say it, I did it. Daled, beis, daled, what? Two is four. Right, he started saying, but not like really, every word for word he started saying it. And they said, "What? Come in." So he came to the front, he sits down, they give him a Gemara, he says no. He goes through the Gemara, Baal Peh, out the whole daf, Baal Peh, saying the whole thing, explaining it, and saying the whole thing, learning it, and everyone's mouths dropped. And there was silence. And afterwards, somebody had the guts to ask him, "You're Lamevavnik, obviously, whatever." He says, "You know the whole Shas like this?" So he started laughing. He says, "No." He says, "No. I'll tell you the true story. You shouldn't think. Is that I made up in mind that I've been learning stuff. I'm not learning well. Okay, so I made up that I'm gonna take one Masechta, and I'm going to do it till I know it well cold. Even I'm going to try Baal Peh even. But I'm not going on, because I know a little bit of everything. I'm a jack of all trades, so come on. I'm going to learn something well. So this is a month ago. A month ago I started learning. I'm still on Daf Beis or Daf Gimel. I'm learning Shavuos. I learned I learned the first daf 30 times. I know it by heart already. I learned it 30 times. And now I'm ready to go on. Punkt, I come in, and I had no idea, I'm not doing daf yomi. He says, I asked you what daf, just because you said I'm the Rebbe. You asked me what daf. You told me the daf that I have no problem saying that I know. The one daf in the whole Shas. In the whole Shas. That's what I know. I know that daf. Anyway, if you don't see the hashgacha pratis in this,
being humble.
No, it's a true story, yeah. Then, people were like going to test him afterwards just to see, this stuff, yeah, sure. But they knew him, he's a good guy. But anyway, that's story number one. The next story is even more amazing. This story I saw in what you call it, in the mishpach, in one of the mishpachos of the family. One of these this week, I saw this story, or Shavuos I saw it. I usually don't see it. Does everyone know Rabbi Eli Stefansky, one of the biggest daf yomi? So he's amazing. He's amazing daf. Ari, ever watched his daf? Eli. Okay, it's
Not yet.
yeah. So he's amazing, but it's more. I don't know if it's for you really. It's a lot of videos. It's funny videos.
I would love it.
What? Yeah.
I was gonna sign up. We're starting on
Yeah.
Zara in a few.
Anyway.
week or two.
Anyway, but it's very interactive. He's funny. He's very good. We learn
America
more.
first.
We learned Shavuos night more than a daf. Okay, or almost a daf. Anyway, Bekitzer, what happened was that he has like 1,000 people listening to him. So he started writing an article in the Mishpacha. If it's the Ami, I'm sorry, but I think it's the Mishpacha. Oh yeah? You saw it? Oh, so I'm sorry, it's in the Ami. And he said,
Could be in the Shavuos.
he said, the reason why I'm writing is as follows. He says, every shir, he started saying about how his shir mushroomed and ballooned and it grew. It was just amazing. And it's worth reading. And he says, what I do before a shir is I read a few emails of people who are inspired by the shir or something interesting happened, like a story like this, something about it, and then I start to share. He said, I have a lot of emails, a lot of letters. I print up all the emails. I have it on my desk. One of the things I prepare share is I look to see what's the most apropos, not necessarily what just came in, what's the most apropos to say. Last night, he says, one of his shirim, he says, last night I'm looking through my emails, and he says, I found this letter. I saw, it was a letter, I had it for like 3 months. It was for his Hebrew shir. He has the English and the Hebrew shir. He says, I pulled the letter, I said, okay, I'm reading this tonight's shir. He read the letter, and the letter said, Dear Rabbi Stefansky, I just want you to know that I'm Avrech, I'm a young man, a kol young man in Tveria. Not only Yerushalayim has these kol, I'm a kol young man in Tveria, and I'm learning in yeshiva, but between me and you, I'm a leidegaiter. I wake up late, I sleep a lot of my day. When I'm at the yeshiva, I'm not really learning. It's more peer pressure. In my circles, that's all we do. We don't, I guess they didn't want to go to the army also. I don't know if I should say this. But no, he was not, that wasn't the issue. The issue was his peer pressure, that they were all, and he said, for most people it worked, but me it was difficult. It was difficult for learning, and it was hard for me. But I did my life. One time somebody sent me a WhatsApp. You see a curly young man to have WhatsApp. He was like, it's funny, whatever. It's like, by us, it's, yeah. Anyway, so he says, the guy sends me a WhatsApp, and it was a clip from your shir, and it was very interesting, and it was so fascinating with the movies, and so I said, let me see it. And I watched a whole shir, and it was fascinating. It was interesting. I said, you know what? Let me try learning it. I started learning it, and within 2 weeks, every day I was learning your shir. And that Rabbi Stefansky, it changed my life. I used to get up early. At 6 a.m. I got up. I davened, I learned through your shir, and then I went to kollel. But that was totally different. But now I was motivated, I was stimulated, I was inspired, and I went into a learning day totally different, and you changed my whole day. I started learning Torah. I started learning like I learned on Shavuos night every day. Every day I started, it was serious, it was real, it felt good, it was inspiring, and it was your shiur that did it. I said, I can do it, and I thank you, I want to thank you very much. So he read that letter, and it's a beautiful letter, thank you. He doesn't say the name, Chaim, so-and-so, so he signed his name, but he didn't say his name. And he read over, he said, he's writing the story, that he read over this letter in shiur, and he sees from the far, somebody raises his hand, and he notices that that person, it was Chasidish young man, kraz lekapayis, that means curled payas, for far Rockaway people. Anyway, he says that, I don't know everybody, but I know that he was never here before. You know a face, right? You know, like at least that much you should know that he's new. So I said, he must have been inspired by the story. He has something to add. I said, yes. He raises his hand. He goes, I'm that person. Said, what? He didn't expect that, because he expect, a tuna beigel, a guy who's, who's a cool-looking guy, whatever, something. He says, come here. He says, come up and tell. If you're not embarrassed, raising your hand and saying it's you. He came up here. There's a picture of him in the Mishpacha or the Ami, whatever it was, in that article. There's a picture of him actually. He looks like a regular Hasidic young man with a beard, not a cool, like a regular, Ben Torah, he looks like. And he says, tell over the story, tell it in your own words. He says, no, I'll tell you read the story very well. But I want to add something. This is the Hasidic young man said. He goes, I want you to know something. I sent you that email 3 months ago. I was listening to the shiur. I was wondering when you're going to read it over. You never did. It's fine. To me, it was so inspiring. I thought it was so inspiring. But you don't want to read it. It's up to you. It's not. It's fine. Whatever it is. If you found that it wasn't so, there was other more inspiring, fine. Whatever. It was funny, but I let it go. Today I decided it was, whatever the reason it is, I decided I'm not learning in the morning, I'm treating myself. I'm going to travel in to come to hear shiur. He traveled in from Tveria on a bus. He didn't have cars. 3 hours there, 3 hours back. The shiur was like at 8 o'clock, it ends 9. He would be back first at 1 a.m. in Tveria. Right? And he has to be up 6 o'clock the next morning. So he says, I treated myself, I'm not coming, I just came once, I wanted to come live. He says, that's the night that you picked to read my letter when I was here. What does that tell you? He says, that is a special message for me, that I'm doing the right thing, and I should keep on going on. It's a tremendous chizuk for me. Hashem waited for you to read that letter till I came personally, the one night I came personally. And Rev Eli Stefanski goes, no, he's making a mistake. That's not a message for him. It's a message for me and for all of us. Is that this is what Hashem wants. Keep it up. Do the best you can. And you're going to see the nisim and the flois and the brachas of Torah. We should keep that flame alive, and we should all be zeicha together to see tremendous nisim and things that go beyond our ability for us personally and for all of Klal Yisrael. Thanks so much for coming.